I'm back and it's time to talk about the books I read in March. Hi guys, if you're new here, I'm Katie. I am a crime and thriller girly. Now, I would say through and through, but in all honesty, I am branching out a little bit, but thriller is pretty much my go-to, especially when I'm slumping, etc. But anyway, that's the intro. It has been a hot minute since I was actually last on BookTube, and life just kind of took over. I will give you a little bit of a life update, but I'm not going to bore you because, yeah. Basically, I am currently in the middle of my teacher training, and for those that don't know, I work full-time in an SEN school, and I am teaching full-time, but I'm not actually fully qualified yet. It's part of my training to actually just have my own class. But I also now have to manage a placement alongside that, which means I'm teaching 3 days a week at my current job, whilst trying to do a placement 2 days a week, while still trying to keep up with my full-time job and still having to manage both, which has been a lot, and this has kind of fallen away. I love filming booktubes. I love being able to yap at you. I love being able to just talk freely and not have to worry about a time limit on how long I talk for. But the editing then of that takes too long and I'm burning myself out. However, I have just upgraded my tech, so now I really want to film, and I'm currently filming this on my 2 weeks off, so I feel like I can bring you the odd video now. But my plan is, and I will be straight about this, to actually bulk film content. So if you see the same outfits, which I live in anyway, then don't be too alarmed, because yeah, your gal has to work around her lifestyle. But yeah, that's my little life update. Let's get back to why you're all here, and let's talk about books and what I read in March. The stats are incoming, but yeah, let's talk about it. Firstly, funny story. I've already recorded this once, probably completely differently to what I'm going to do now, but I was an idiot and actually recorded this on slow-mo. You cannot believe how many times I've checked I'm on the correct setting for this camera. I'm an idiot and I've accepted that. But anyway, let's talk about the stats for March. So I actually read 11 books, excuse me. I read 11 books in March, and I actually DNF'd 3 on top of that. So technically I picked up 14 books in March, but only finished 11. I say only. Finished 11. I can't remember the stats now. It's been a hot minute. I'm going to put them up on the screen for you to look at. But it was a good month overall. I had some horrendous reads, which we will come to. I also had some decent reads, no 5 stars, and yeah, quite surprised myself. I did hit a reading slump a couple of times too. So yeah, let's get into why you're actually here, and that is to find out what books I read, what I thought of them, and what I rated them. Now, I'm going to be straight with you. I'm about to film and talk to you about my DNFs. I'm going to put them at the beginning of the video. So you'll be seeing this at the beginning of the video, but you'll see me speak later in the video about how I should have put them first. But I'm straight talking about that. I'm not bothered. We're going to talk about the DNFs. So the first book I want to talk to you about is Good Half Gone by Taryn Fisher. Now, I got 34% of this in audio before I DNF'd it. I actually cannot tell you what this book is about. I have no idea what was going on. I went in blind. I've heard mixed reviews about this book, if I'm being honest, which probably doesn't help. But yeah, I had no idea what was going on, and I'm not going to lie to you. I think it's something to do with her sister being missing and she comes back. Feel free to tell me what it's about in the comments and if I should have DNF'd it, but it's currently sat in my Vinted pile. So yeah, unfortunately just not the book for me, and so I did DNF it. I was actually in a reading slump at this point, and even audiobooks were not cutting it for me. You'll see in my stats that my audiobooks were significantly lower, which they're not normally. So yeah, unfortunately it was, I think, it tied with Colleen Hoover. No, it was Never Never that was tied with Colleen Hoover. So I tried this because of Never Never, and it was very hyped, and unfortunately it didn't hit the spot for me. The next DNF is Under a Dark Cloud by Louisa Scar. This actually upsets me. So Louisa Scar is actually the same author as Sam Holland, and you guys know Sam Holland is one of my favourite authors. She's an auto-buy. I actually currently have an ARC of her most recent release that comes out in May, and I was so excited to be offered that. It wasn't even I saw it on NetGalley. One of the publishers I'm with was like, you can have access to it now, and I was like, whoa, mind blown. So I am excited to pick that up. Now, I loved the Major Crime series by Sam Holland, and I did read book 1 of this. However, I had to return it to the library because I'd done my 3 renewals. So this is book 2 in a series, and I can't remember much about it. And the first book was a slog. I remember switching to audio for the book, but I ended up enjoying it. And that's because I switched to audio. So it may be that I go back to these books in audio down the line. But at the time, it wasn't the book for me. It wasn't fast-paced enough to get me out of my slump. So I did DNF. I ran out of time at the end of the month to even try it again anyway. But I don't feel inclined to. And I think I've discovered I do need to DNF more because there are so many good books out there. And I have got so many books on my TBR that I really don't have time to slog through one I don't like. So yeah, I can't really tell you much about it. It's very different to Sam Holland's writing. If you've read it, let me know, but yeah, I wasn't really sure how I felt, to be honest. And my last DNF is Love Struck by Laura Jane Williams. Now, this has been sat on my TBR for a hot minute. I picked it up because the cover is stunning. You will see I've put it on the screen. Now, I saw this was available on Spotify, so I opted to pick it up in audio, and I DNF'd it at 30%. I cannot tell you what the hell was going on. I was so confused. I just felt it fell a bit flat for me. And yeah, unfortunately, it just didn't hit the spot for me. So I did DNF it. Again, this was an audio pick, guys. I don't DNF audios, and I've DNF'd 2 this month. What is going on? So yeah, unfortunately, it just didn't hit the spot for me, and I did opt to DNF. It is in my Vinted pile, so if any of you are intrigued by the premise of it, which I can't tell you about, then it will be on my Vinted in the next few days. Just watch out on my TikTok and Instagram stories. But yeah, unfortunately, it just didn't hit the mark for me, and I am gutted about that. So the first book I actually read in March was The Daughter by T.M. Logan, and I rated this 4 stars. I actually picked this up because I met the lovely T.M. Logan, and I'll insert a picture here. He is the nicest guy. Now, I don't know about anybody else, but in my eyes, authors very much feel like celebrities to me, so if I meet them, I'm almost starstruck. He just acted like any other person. We were like browsing in the bookstore, me and my friend, afterwards, and he was just like chatting to us about his book recs, and could talk about other books and things, and it was just like, yeah, it was so wholesome, and he's the nicest guy. And he gave me a little sneak peek into Harrogate Crime Fest, which I'm really excited for. So yeah, anyway, the book. So as I've said, I've rated this 4 stars. This follows a woman who goes to collect her daughter from university, and she gets there to find that her daughter's just vanished into thin air. Now, her daughter's been intermittently posting about her university experience. She's been posting on Instagram, I think it was, and she's been texting her mum with updates. However, she goes there, and apparently the girl checked out after her 2nd week at university. So then her mum is on the hunt. This does get very twisted. I actually read this within a couple of days. It was very quick and easy to follow. And yeah, I just generally liked the premise of the book. Like I said, quick, easy, short chapters. And one of my favourite T.M. Logans. I was glad to have read this in time. I have actually just purchased quite a few of his books for 99p on Kindle. So watch this space, because I am in the middle of trying to get through his backlist. But yeah, loved this, would recommend it, and it was a great start to the month. Next up, and my first audio pick of the month, was The Dilemma by The Dilemma by B.A. Paris, and I actually rated this 3 stars. Now, like I said, I picked this up in audio. This basically follows a couple whose daughter is coming back from abroad. They both have their own secrets. It's the female main character's 40th birthday. There's a party incoming. He wants to surprise his wife with their daughter coming home, and he has secrets of her own, as does she. I can't say it was okay, but I can't really say any more than that, to be honest. I can't remember much about it. Like I said, I did follow it in audio, but I just kind of felt like, I don't know, it was just very long for me, considering it's actually quite a short book. I liked the idea of the premise. It was the last B.A. Paris, I believe I have to read. I do need to check my stats on that. But yeah, I just felt like I was going along with it. The ending got a bit better when we actually got to the drama of it all. But the first 50% was these 2 women and Aaron, and trying to speak to their daughter separately and not talk to each other. And it was almost like a bit of a miscommunication trope mixed in a thriller. But I still gave it 3 because, like I said, the last 20% certainly was very good, and I really enjoyed the last 20%. But I do feel like it is one of my least favourite B.A. Paris books, but I would like to know other people's thoughts on this, because I didn't rate Behind Closed Doors either, and that was very highly rated. So if you've got any thoughts on this, pop them in the comments. Next up is Heartbones by Colin Hoover. Now, I do have a physical copy of this, but for some reason I put them all back in my bookcase after I filmed this once, but completely forgot I read it in March. This was actually a book club pick for another book club. Now, I'm not particularly committed to joining every month, but I saw that Zoe B Books over on Book Talk, and that's her fable, I think, as well, was doing this for a book club pick, and it's been on my TBR for quite a while. I was actually really excited to read it to the point I bought the hardback, then sold it when the paperback came out because I still hadn't read it. So this follows a girl basically who escapes a bit of a trauma in her life when she gets home to find that her mum is dead due to, I believe, an accidental overdose, if I remember rightly. She escapes to her dad, who she doesn't really see anything of. There's a lot of family trauma and, not drama, that's the wrong word, but there's a lot of family complications within this. She goes to live with her dad and her stepsister, or half-sister, I believe it's half-sister, and yeah, she meets somebody there who turns out to be what she thinks is a bit of an idiot on the ferry over to this place, and yeah, they hit it off. Like I said, I think I've said I've rated it 4 stars. This was actually a really good read. I didn't get the 6-star rating a lot of people did from it, but I did still enjoy it. It was emotional, it was sad, and I was invested in their relationship, which I think is the really important thing within the book for me. Colin Hoover can be a hit and miss for me, so I was a bit worried because I loved the concept of this. I am very much a rom-com-y, smut-free romance kind of girly when I do pick up a romance. So yeah, I was really excited to get into this. I did really, really enjoy it. Just not the 6-star full throttle crying that a lot of people did, but I don't know if that makes me heartless. But yeah, I still enjoyed it, would still recommend it, but I think if you're an emotional person, definitely go in with a box of tissues because I welled up, but I didn't cry. Next up are my own book club that I've started online. If you're interested, it is Patreon, so it is subscription, unfortunately, but it is $2.99 a month, guys. I've made it as cheap as I physically can, and I would just strongly recommend it. It's in a brilliant community. So yeah, I've done my little plot, but basically we picked up Made for Each Other by Lynn Painter, and I went in with a 4.5-star rating. So I actually introduced a lot of people to Lynn Painter in my book club because a lot of them hadn't read it. Lynn Painter is my absolute palate cleanser of an author. I was introduced to her, gosh, a couple of years ago now, when one of my best friends bought me Better Than the Movies. That still to this day is my favourite romance of all time. It's cutesy, but that's a whole nother video. Made for Each Other basically follows a girl who is the maid for a billionaire. She stays in his apartment overnight because she's having a few issues with her apartment. He is meant to be out of town. He walks in, sees her. They then go through a bit of a fake dating relationship. There is a bit of miscommunication, which is the drop in 0.5 star for me. Miscommunication trope's a bit of has to be done right for me to like it, which is very rare, if I'm being honest. It irritates me because just talk to each other. That is my view, just talk to each other. But yeah, this was funny, it was witty. It had me feeling several emotions. I was angry at points because of the male main character, but he was also really likeable. And yeah, I generally really enjoy the premise of this. We haven't fully properly talked about it yet, but we are pretty much all on the premise that we did enjoy this. And yeah, a lot of people are wanting to pick up Lynn Painter and actually have done since we read this together. And yeah, I mean, it's a Lynn Painter. Obviously, I'm going to rate it highly. And yeah, I am definitely extremely close to completing her backlist now. Next up is Hunting Evil by Chris Carter, and I actually rated this 4 stars, so this actually is currently my least favourite Chris Carter. If you're not new here and you'll know that I am a massive Chris Carter fan. I find him gory, which I never thought I would like. I certainly don't watch what I read. And yeah, he's always gripping. The chapters are short, some of them can be a page or two, and generally, yeah, just really enjoyable reads. This one is book 10, I want to say, in the Robert Hunter series, and this is actually a continuation of one of his books earlier in the series, An Evil Mind. So you do have to read An Evil Mind first. This basically follows on from Robert Hunter finding, cannot get my words out. Basically, he put away a very, very big psychopath back in An Evil Mind, but the guy escapes at the end. Spoiler alert, really. But basically the guy is back and he's tormenting Robert Hunter. I did enjoy An Evil Mind. I enjoyed all of them. These are not saying I didn't enjoy it, but I much prefer the Serial Unaliving that's going on, which sounds really creepy. But the Mind Games for me doesn't hook me as much. However, I still read it within a couple of days, still short chapters, quick and easy, and I did still enjoy it. I just think I give higher ratings to those that have more action, so to speak. I am on a Chris Carter a month until I complete the series, which upsets me because I'm only a couple of books from the end, I believe. So yeah, would still recommend this, guys. Start with Crucifix Killer, that is book 1. I have looked and seen that it's come off KU, which is really upsetting because the first book I think just gets you hooked on the rest of the series. But yeah, I definitely would recommend it, and yeah, just please read this series. Next up was The Last Thing to Burn by Will Dean, and this unfortunately comes with a 3-star rating. Now, this is a very hyped book, which is why I picked it up. So I've just mentioned about talking about 9 Lives, that got me out of a slump. I actually picked this one up first. So I actually read 4 books before and soft DNF'd them before I picked up 9 Lives. This was one of the 4 books I soft DNF'd. In fact, 5 books. I managed to get through this, but I did have to switch to audio. Now, the last 30% of this book was fantastic. I really, really strongly recommend it, but I don't think a slow burn thriller is for me. And I think if you do like a slow burn thriller, you will enjoy this. So this basically follows a couple, primarily the woman's point of view. And basically, she has married this guy in order to be able to stay in the country and is working off a debt for her sister to do the same. The term The Last Thing to Burn, basically, if she falls out of line, he burns something of hers. She has come from her country with like 17 items, I think it is. I was screaming for her to get out. There were parts of this book where she probably could have, in my opinion. And then it just took a really random turn at 60%, which was then more my kind of thriller. So as much as I'm not probably ever going to pick it up again, I'd still recommend it, particularly to those that love a slow burn thriller. On that, I have The Last Passenger by Will Dean to read, and now I'm worried because The Last Thing to Burn is a very, very highly hyped book, and I am a bit worried that I've not lived up to the hype. It was the same with A.R. Torrey in The Last Party. However, I have The Last Passenger, and that's also highly rated and highly hyped. So if you could tell me you didn't enjoy The Last Thing to Burn but loved The Last Passenger, that would make me feel 100 times better. But yeah, fingers crossed I can enjoy The Last Passenger. Haven't got to it yet, don't know when I will, but watch this space. Next up, an actual author debut for me, I haven't actually read anything by this author, is 9 Lives by Peter Swanson. And I rated this 4 stars. Now, fun fact, I read this in a day. This was a library pick, which is why I haven't got the physical anymore. And basically this follows 9 points of view, and they all receive the same note in the post. There are 9 names on this list, and their name is on it. So then we follow their points of view. Now, I like the concept of this because you'll see that, like, the list reappears after so long. And like I said, I read this in a day. It's my first Peter Swanson, and now I am intrigued to try a different Peter Swanson. I have been recommended The Kind Worth Killing. However, trying to get hold of that book is actually a lot trickier than I thought, because I don't really want to own it. I'm not paying over the odds for Kindle, and my library currently has it already out on loan to somebody else. So any other Peter Swanson recommendations would go brilliantly. But I enjoyed this. Not a 5-star feeling, but easy enough that I managed to read it within a day. And yeah, I liked the concept. I actually had quite a few jaw-dropping moments. There was one like maybe 50-60% of the way through. And then that doubled again and it came back again. So yeah, I don't know if my mic's picking up that noise. I'm so sorry, that's my dishwasher. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. It was, yeah, like I said, I have been recommended The Kind Worth Killing. Any other Peter Swanson recs, let me know, because I do want to try more of his books. But yeah, it was just what I needed. I actually picked this up after a slump that week, so work really took its toll by this point in the month, and I was literally chop changing. I realised I'm working in order, and I was actually going to get the negativity out of the way first, but it's fine. I lost my train of thought. But yeah, anyway, I've chunted on about him. I read this in a day, which I was like, yes, back out of the reading slump. I did go back into one, but I think that was more work causing it rather than the books I was reading, but we will get into that later on. But yeah, I was so glad I'd picked this up. I'd been staring at it for a while, and yeah, it's my start on a Peter Swanson backlist, I think. Next up is The Good Lie by A.R. Torre, and this was my in-person book club pick. So we had a few options going. I can't remember them off the top of my head. However, they picked it out, and as I've just said, the last party did not go down well for me, and that was highly hyped. So I was a bit worried about trying another. However, I rated this one 4 stars. So this follows a psychiatrist who specialises in stopping people with compulsions to kill. I mean, yeah, you'd just report them to the police, wouldn't you? Basically, she carries on doing this, and then someone comes to her door and wants to profile a serial unaliver who they've found, and want to profile him to prove his guilt. So she goes with this. This took quite a few turns. I did not know where I was going with this at all. Easy to read, easy to follow, not quite the 5-star feeling. I don't think A.R. Torre is going to be a 5-star thriller read for me. However, I do think A.R. Torre is going to be a bit Frieda-ish for me. That they're going to be hit and miss, but they're going to be quick and easy to read, so it's not like it's more a popcorn thriller in my opinion. But they are darker, but just not dark enough. I feel like I've completely changed my genre just watching this, like recording this video, but still, I recommended it. I haven't actually met the book club yet. We're meeting in the next few days. So I am excited to see what they thought of it, because I have seen them chatting in the group chat and been like, oh, they're loving it a lot more than me. So yeah, I'm open to other people's opinions on it, but still a really, really good read. I gave it 4 stars, but yeah. Next up, and a very unexpected addition to my TBR, is Betting on You by Lynn Painter. Now this, no shock, 4.5-star rating. So, story behind this. I actually ended up doing a readathon on the 31st of March, and I messaged the lovely Amelia because we said we would buddy read this together at some point. But when it comes to Lynn Painter, we pretty much have buddy read all of them together. But I like to do it on a readathon day where we can actually sit and read it together, where we're both not busy. She had a week off on my first week off, so of course we picked it up and we both read it in a sitting. So this follows 2 people, Charlie and Bailey? Yes, I got that right. And Bailey basically is on her travels to go and see her dad after her parents have separated, and this guy tries to basically pretend to be with her in line so he can cut the line. She takes basically her baton and goes, no, not happening, thinks he's a jerk, says I'll probably never see him again. Anyway, she bumps into him in the town that she is now living in, and she sees him everywhere. This then becomes a friends to lovers, it's fake dating, and there is a miscommunication trope, hence the drop in 0.5 star. But this I laughed at, I was angry, I actually nearly threw my book, and I actually got emotional. I did relate to Bailey a little bit in this. And yeah, it did upset me. But yeah, in a kind of good way, like it was an emotional sad, I can't explain it. But yeah, I did enjoy it, and I actually have 1 Lynn Painter to go, 2 if you include the one that releases in May. So yeah, excited to bring you a backlist, but I'm going to find it really hard to rank these because they're all very similar ratings, but this is definitely up there as one of my favourites. Next up is Her Last Move by John Mars, and I rated this 4.5 stars. So I started this on the Sunday on my sprints just towards the end of March, and I was a bit worried that I would actually not be able to finish this and the Lynn Painter within the day. Obviously with me finishing on the 31st of March, I have to finish the books at the end of March, guys. I am a sucker for it. My OCD allows nothing else. This one follows a copper who is trying to solve this sudden spur of murders going on, but she's also trying to balance her life. So she basically has a daughter, but it's not her biological daughter. Her sister was killed by her partner, and the baby was born, and yeah, basically someone needed to look after the baby. That sounds so heartless the way I say it. But yeah, it fast-paced, short chapters, one of my favourite books by him as well. I thought this was so easy to read. The serial killer was unhinged. This actually did give a little bit of Chris Carter, which for John Mars, I love the thriller-esque. He's not as gory as Chris Carter, which is fine. I don't want them all to be Chris Carter. I get bored. But I just liked his writing to the point that it was a bit more, gory is the wrong word, but like unhinged probably is the right word. And Yeah, I enjoyed this so much. So easy to read, and yeah. And fun fact, I've actually just got a second copy of this book gifted to me by my bestie. We haven't actually seen each other since the summer with both our life circumstances, and we met up at the beginning of April, and she gifted me this, and I laughed because I was like, she was like, literally, I saw you reading this on your live yesterday. I'm so sorry, but I opened it and she's actually got it signed with my name in. So let me just. I mean, sorry, look at that. That is just fantastic. The best date. So I am going to re-gift my other one. I'm not going to sell my other one. I think I was gifted it by somebody else, so I don't want to sell it for profit. So I am going to re-gift it to somebody else. But yeah, I really enjoyed this, and it was one of my last reads of the month. The last book I actually finished is Conviction by Jack Jordan, and controversially I rated this 2.5 stars. Now, I did pick this book back up out of my bookcase to show you because it has got a beautiful sprayed edge. However, I picked up the wrong book, but never mind. So this one is a moral dilemma, and it follows a woman who basically is in court to try and prove a man's innocence after he is being charged with murdering his wife and 2 kids and then trying to basically kill himself. And yeah, but he's playing the house was on fire, I found my wife dead card. She is trying to prove his innocence. However, some very, very, very unsavoury people tell her she needs to throw this case or her stepdaughter is dead. I read Do No Harm in one sitting and rated it 5 stars, so you can guarantee I was so upset about this. This was actually the buddy read on TikTok that I do every month. And yeah, it took me so long. It had parts of potential, hence the 2.5. But for me, I actually ended up whacking this up on the 31st of March to 2.5 speed. Now, I actually picked this up because I was slumping, and I loved Jack Jordan so much that I wanted to give a book that I thought would be 5 stars. It was on my Kindle, so I could read it on the treadmill. And yeah, I just generally was really looking forward to it. So I was really upset when I didn't enjoy it. Now, I have been told a lot of people felt similar and have enjoyed his other books, so I am going to try Redemption, but I don't think I'll buy any more, which really upsets me because I loved Do No Harm. It was one of my favourite thrillers of 2025. But yeah, for me, this was just nothing I like. It was too forceful on the moral dilemma, and I appreciate it is a moral dilemma, so that probably sounds ridiculous, but I just feel like there were points she could get out, and then like she'd find a clause and they had eyes everywhere, and without spoiling it, I'm not going to say anymore, I just feel like there were points where she could ask for help. And yeah, this was actually one of the 5 I tried to get through. So obviously you've seen 2 of the 5 I tried to read before I found 9 lives, and yeah, this did really disappoint me, and it's actually probably my biggest disappointment of the year, and I'm gutted about that because I was so excited to read this. Yeah, I won't be selling this one. I know I say I sell books I don't enjoy, but I have got 2 more by the author, so I will be keeping it for its pretty sprayed edge. But yeah, such a shame, guys. I would love to know your thoughts on it because it does get mixed reviews. But yeah, feel free to put your opinion to me because I am intrigued. Guys, that is a wrap on my March my March reading wrap up. It was still a good month. I feel having broken up on the 27th of March, I did pick up at the end of the month. But yeah, let me know if you've got this far, guys. What was your favourite read of March? I'm very intrigued to know, always looking for recommendations. And thank you for joining me. I have loved being back and recording this. I feel so much better about recording videos as well. I'd kind of lost the love of it before, and yeah, I wanted to love it as much as I've seen my favourite booktubers love it. Carly just shows so much love when she's recording, and I wanted to feel the same. So upgrading my tech, getting a microphone that I love, has really helped me just love filming for you. So thank you for being here, guys. If you haven't already, please hit that like button. It just gets me out to more booktubers. And also hit that subscribe button. I would love for you to be here. I have stupidly set myself the mission to get to 300 by the end of April. Probably a feat considering I'd planned on posting at least 1 video by now, if not this being my second. And I idiotically didn't record properly on my camera. So thank you for joining me, guys. If you want more chaos, hit that subscribe button, and I will catch you all in the next video. Lots of love.